a macro-oriented player most of the time, so he might just be happy playing, kind of just shaking hands in the early game and playing for the later stages. Here we have Gerald with the pylon on the high ground, and DnS is going to do the same thing. So probably double gateways for either player, but I guess we should do introductions. And in the bottom right-hand side, it is Gerald with a massive room, beautiful mustache, playing for Storm.
And his opponent, spawning up at the top left, in the blue, it's DnS. With
nice haircut,
a closer door, and earbuds.
New haircut as well.
New haircut.
Yeah.
New haircut?
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. So you and DnS are obviously, pretty close. You know each other pretty well. What's the inside scoop on DnS?
I don't know that we're like super close, but he was en route for a while. I mean, we talk from time to time. I think we are friendly, and I have gotten to see a few of his matches in the root tournaments as well. So I guess if I had an inside scoop, it would be that he likes the macro games, that he likes the standard play for the most part. He is solid in that regard, and I could say the same things for Gerald and what I've seen from him. So this should be one of those matches that we see a couple of macro games in PvP, that we see it get to disruptors, and yeah, take it from there. See how explosive things get when the big balls of fire come out.
Yeah, it is very important to note that neither player vetoed Moondance, which is one of the low ground, unfriendly expansion maps. You don't have that ramp at the natural, so 2-gate play is pretty much just the standard. It's what you go for here. And that, obviously, that's not a big surprise for Gerald to not do that, but for DnS to not do that, that tells us at least a little bit of something.
Yeah, without a doubt. And here's where Harstam was mixing it up a little bit, right? Like making just one unit out of those gateways and maybe going for a faster expand. Of course, there's probes on either side of the map, so faster expansions are not easy to take. But yeah, we see both of these players are kind of like comfort zone oriented players. They're not players that are going to be looking to mix it up too much, to throw too many wrenches into things early. So we're going to open as standard as it gets, and with as safe as it gets as well, with the double gate openings and double stalkers to follow. So
yeah, both of them wanting to grab that early map control. No double adept for the first round of units. No stalker sentry for the quick scout, but it will be a Stargate following this up from DnS, and he is going to take the Nexus. I am a little bit surprised that he didn't maybe wait, try and hide that probe and kill the probe of his opponent first, but that just goes to show that, I mean, he's a player that would rather stick to his timings, and that's a philosophy-based thing. What do you think about that in general, hiding information versus sticking to the absolute timings of your build?
Yeah, I think that a lot of the time for like players as they are rising, it is much more common to see players kind of sticking to their timings, like you've put it, sticking to what they know, trying to be as clean as possible in execution and focus on execution the most. But I think that as we see players rise to that very top level, where they are facing the best in the world and winning against them, they gotta mix it up. Those adepts should not have made it in. A very well-warranted O from Steadfast will give us a sign that these adepts are doing a little bit too much damage, and it's gonna be 5 probes, maybe 6. Dayum.
Oh, that is way too much damage. He had the probe in the wall, and now the Oracle gets scouted. It's had to use its Pulsar Cannon energy. There is Blink on the way for Gerald. He is so far ahead in this game at this point. Oh, yeah. Up 9 workers in the early game of PvP. Now, I will say, sending down to the natural feels... no, it should be fine. He should have enough Stalkers in the main base as well. Yeah, he's got a Shield Battery in the main. 2 Stalkers in the main as well. Yeah, he's in an amazing position at this point.
Yeah, he's gotta be feeling pretty good about that. I mean, the adepts do way too much damage here, and it's not a mistake that you look for in this type of game, right? It's almost granted that every time the door is gonna be closed on those adepts, especially if there is a probe there, like you said. This Oracle's also gonna take some whole damage there as the stalkers go to hunt for it. And now with its brother or sister joining it, it will look for some poke damage onto the natural, it looks like, but unlikely to find much.
Yeah, he's going to have to make sure to lead with that high shields, high hull Oracle. Otherwise, he might just end up, getting target fire down and lose that Oracle right out.
Blink
this is really...
Away.
Oh, man, yeah, it is. This is a very important move. Okay, he does pick off 3 probes. That is necessary damage. He needs that damage just to be able to equalize a little bit. I still like Gerald's position a fair bit, but the double Oracle will keep him penned back. He's going to have to settle for a third base.
For it, though. He might catch the Oracles.
Oh.
He's hunting for it. Blink is available. One Oracle will go down, no doubt. And the second one will just turn around to Revelate. An extra 2 probes fall in that altercation, but Gerald still with a little bit of a lead as well as the faster third. So things looking good for the Pulse still. But DnS did find something with the scouted Oracles more than I thought he would.
He did, but now this opens up a huge opportunity for Gerald to get across the map and do potentially a ton of damage. There's 3 gates for Gerald. He's already taken the forward base versus his opponent, who's felt like he has to take the back base. I think that's the right call from DnS. But Gerald still might be able to get something done with just a few more Stalkers than his opponent. Of course, he doesn't have a War Prism. He can't. But he's looking for a forward base. And he's just going to see that the base is not taken in the front, and he's just probably going to back away. Oh, this is kind of cute.
Yeah, pretty cute attempt for a second time here. Could cancel one of those shades, but we'll let both finish, and that's going to work out as there's a probe transfer there. The Stalkers are slow to react. They do have Blink, so maybe Recall could be utilized for these Adepts. They got the information that they wanted. And now into the main, as he's creating the distraction. Beautiful moves here from Gerald. So those Adepts, they're going to die, yes, but who cares? So is this Templar Archives, and that is massive. Gerald can now easily retreat. Looking for an extra pylon, maybe a little bit greedy, but no. He will go unpunished. Great job.
Loses 1 Stalker, but I mean, the potential of supply blocking his opponent, I think that's still worth it. And he saw that his opponent's army wasn't in position. Yeah, Gerald is in an amazing position now in this game. DnS needs to get a fantastic catch on Gerald's army somehow. And I just don't know how he's going to manufacture that. He's going to try to push here through the natural, but there's already an Immortal out for Gerald. If DnS, yeah, I was going to say, I think you just blink forward on top of it.
Yeah, I think he could have easily done that, but I mean, maybe he doesn't have the full vision there maybe of the reinforcements and whatnot. Having said that, there's an observer in the back. It was just about equal numbers, but when you blink forward and you remove that ability from your opponent, like even if you have 1 extra Stalker or even numbers, it's so difficult for your opponent not to blink away, and then you just get away with free damage, right? Because it's the element of surprise as well that plays a part there. Having said all that, I loved what you were saying about how DnS has to take this back base, right? Like, he knows that he doesn't have map control at that point in time, so he is forced to take this back base. And the disadvantage, of course, on Moondance of that back base is that it's not a full base. So now you can see 16 out of 12. That means 4 workers are mining less efficiently, and there is 1 less gas. Whereas Gerald in this forward base is mining much more efficiently and has that extra gas to work with. So DnS, if I were him, I would have maybe looked for some sort of a timing of 2.5 base without keeping up saturation, or exactly what he's doing, which is to take an extra base. But Gerald is going to one-up him and take another full base. So he's going to retain an economic lead no matter what. And I love that the observer there, Niall, was showing us the income tab for that reason, because that reflects what we're saying in spite of the workers being as close as they are.
Yeah, and it's little things like that can make a huge difference. It can lead to 2 or 3 more Stalkers in a big engagement. Obviously, with good positioning, you can make up for a difference of that, but it takes equally a little bit of a mistake in positioning from your opponent. And Gerald, he does have a slightly faster +1 weapons finishing up. He immediately starts at +2, and I don't think that DnS sees the main army even.
Yeah, I mean, 4 Stalkers are going to deal with these Adepts this time around, but I love that Gerald keeps on trying. That seems to be his trademark, and 1 Adept actually makes it into the natural. Will kill 1 probe, doubt he'll get a second one, but forcing DnS to react even further. DnS has done a good job of getting some map presence, some map control, in the form of even just pylons out there to know where his opponent's army is. So he will get taxed a pylon for positioning at some point, or actually that's an Oracle that's forward here. And he will spot this base as well. Let's see what his counter is going to be. For now, it looks like he's looking to go into Disruptors.
Yeah, Gerald already starting up those Disruptors, though. He has got a huge lead in this game. It's small leads across every thing, and it adds up to basically a big lead. First Disruptor is on out here. DnS did go into a couple of those Archons. I love this response from DnS. He sees that his opponent already has Disruptors. He pops down a 3rd Robo. And I think that is the kind of move that you need to make in a situation like this, where you are behind in pretty much every measurable aspect by a little bit at least. I think you got to make a move like that.
Hey, this is crazy. And this is crazy. Well, we'll see if it works out. I mean, I like the move, like you're saying. It's got to be something unexpected here. Oh, this is not a good place for Gerald to find. He knows it. He's going to back away. You do not want to fight with just Stalkers against Zealots and Archons in open areas. So he's going to back away and retain his lead for now. 20 supply, the lead for Gerald. Faster Disruptors, like you were saying. Trying to poke and gather some information with the DT will not prove fruitful this time around. And yeah, pretty much the game that we were expecting from these two.
Yeah, they're both methodical, patient, calm players. Now, I do want to say DnS, you pointed it out a little bit earlier, his map vision is fantastic after this rough early game. Like, he is making sure that he does not get caught off guard by anything. Nice job, he even forces his opponent back, picks off a Stalker there. Gerald has gone for a couple of DTs. Oh, wow, the Archons. I feel like those weren't the best. Yeah, breaking the rocks would be quite a bit better. We're going to see DnS blinking forward after Gerald's army. Got to be careful, but he does manage to get out of range of this. Actually, DnS is going to take position on Gerald, and Gerald is just going to give it up and go for the base trade.
I thought he would, but now he's double guessing himself, and now he's gonna come back for it. But there's 3 Disruptors here already holding that position, so very eloquently put by you. Oh! 3 of those Disruptors fall. There's only a couple remaining here. It's still Gerald with the army lead, however, but he has to be careful though. He's blinking into a Disruptor shot, and it's gonna be massive. And now DnS actually is gonna be all caught up in terms of supply. And remember, he's also working with triple Robo there. So a very successful minute for DnS, who will get taxed on the retreat. But yeah, not what Gerald wanted there, getting caught with his pants down a little bit.
Yeah, and he really hesitated on that. I think the right call was to force that base trade. But it's so tough because base trades make everything so messy. And I think he said to himself, like, oh, I'm the one who's winning this game. I don't want to go into a base trade and let you get back into this game. But the problem is he then loses most of the advantage that he had. So the game kind of now resets to pretty much even with the higher production levels available for DnS. I think he's got the lead here.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, there's Disruptor.
Oh, no.
He's disconnecting. But the Stalkers will whiff their shots onto that Archon. Look at it, being a hero there. A little bit bruised on the shields, but kind of absorbs all the damage that would have saved like 6 or so Stalkers' lives. And yeah, I'm completely with you. And when we're talking about breaking rocks and stuff like that, it might seem insignificant, but I mean, it matters because the army movement is made easier. So if you're actively traveling somewhere on the map, then you probably want those rocks being taken down. And we've seen Gerald go down that ramp about 5 times in this game and then go back up again and get taxed here and there. So, you know, if you are trying to exercise your mobility out on the map, then you want the easier pathways open for yourself. And that might have made it easier for him to kind of like get back into a position where he could have defended that easier. But I'm with you. He was already more than halfway out on the map with a larger army, and he was going to defend back into a fortified position where there's 3 Disruptors waiting, and you know it. So you might as well counterattack at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, a couple of Disruptors coming in from DnS. First one was okay. Second 2 were kind of panic Ruptors. Nice, aggressive Disruptor. Wow. Okay, this is a very weird setup. Gerald has not gotten blink for his DTs, which makes these attacks that he keeps doing with them very inefficient. Ooh, Disruptor shots just barely getting taken out. Not able to get a huge shot on DnS's Disruptors. Gerald is going to get forced back. The Disruptor count is 7-7. This is actually getting pretty wild right here. One engagement could instantly decide it.
Absolutely. And this is more or less what we were expecting. I mean, we talked about the Disruptors before the game started because this is kind of where both of these players are most comfortable and where they want to decide the game. It is in these macro games. It is getting to this position. They are experts at that matter. And obviously, when they go up against each other, that's exactly what you're going to see because both are going to be playing for their comfort zones. Has to be careful here, Gerald, however. Oh, no. Who's the president of Blizzard?
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Bobby something.
Yeah, Bobby Fischer.
Bobby Fischer. Bobby Fischer killed all those units.
He sure did.
That was huge. It's now 10 Disruptors to 5, and Gerald, he should be able to actually just bully his way forward. Maybe just using Disruptors to kind of punch through, we are going to see a big, aggressive counterattack coming in from DnS, and that will force Gerald back home. Nice job from DnS to have an observer with that, so the DTs couldn't be used defensively, but now Gerald is super out of position to deal with this push.
Or is he? I mean, these disruptors are lagging back and lagging behind, and that's the problem. But DnS not paying attention for the moment. Okay, this one turns around. It's gonna get a huge shot. No, it ends up falling at the very end there. Another one will get 3 of them, however. And this is getting pretty heated up. Blink forward from DnS that fast. And this is indeed wild.
It is so crazy right now. I can't believe this is somehow evening out. We are going to see both sides losing all of their disruptors, and it's going to come down to the Pure Stalker versus the Pure Stalker. And Gerald has a lot more, but he's attacking up the ramp into a huge defensive concave. Gerald, I mean, the supplies are even, but DnS has 5 disruptors. Gerald, though, doubling his opponent's Stalker count, will have much more mobility, but on Moondance, is that as valuable as on many other maps?
That is a very good point. It's a very choky map. It's going to be difficult to kind of encroach from every position. He is going to into that Tempest transition. It has to be said, DnS is looking to capitalize sometimes on overextensions of Gerald, and he has done so well enough to catch back up in this game. That was looking pretty grim for him. Now it's about even. Gerald now is the one capitalizing there on the disruptor lagging behind, even without vision, just kind of smelling it. Actually does have an observer there, so spotted it and went for it. And now fighting into a difficult position once again, but he's gonna find 3.
Oh, the flank disruptors are huge. Every time it feels like they just come out of left field and smash into that opponent's army. Amazing shots from Gerald right there, and he is going to Tempest behind this. That is going to be, well, I mean, they're going to be good at picking off the units, but it feels like this is such a high-speed game. Oh! Gerald did not pull back far enough from that disruptor shot, and he ends up eating a huge shot to the face. Oh my goodness. But yeah, what do you think about Tempest versus Carriers?
I'm waiting with bated breath to see what happens here with the Tempests. I mean, he's gonna get the poke, and he's gonna maybe try to force engagements onto his own disruptors. So I can see it from there, but they are so slow to work, and they are so supply inefficient that if the fight actually unfolds, they may not contribute enough to pay for their weight in gold. So we'll see what they can do here. Gerald or someone did break those rocks. Gerald's gonna be happy about it this time around, as the disruptors are trying to zone off, and they will get a nexus for their troubles. So we see the kind of the debut of the Tempest here, working out just fine for now.
Yeah, he doesn't have any attack upgrades on them, but he, funnily enough, will have shields pretty soon. Ooh, big blink forward, and no punish coming in from Gerald. There is the disruptor shot, and there's the punish. 4 of them going down in a single blink of an eye, and somehow they're still even on disruptors pretty much.
24 to 18 disruptors lost. I mean, that's absolutely crazy. These players have been landing disruptors onto disruptors more than anything else. And yeah, I thought the blink from Gerald was actually over-eager, and DnS didn't pull the trigger on his 4 disruptors that he had or so. But then, yeah, I mean, he ended up being the one to overextend. Now, DnS with a very good position here will make it difficult for Gerald to come up this ramp. The Tempest, of course, will have no trouble in that, and 1 disruptor trades for 2.
Nice job from Gerald on the tail end. These DTs are going to be a huge problem for Gerald if he can't keep track of them. DTs actually coming in from the back for Gerald on DNS's army. The DTs will cause a lot of Gerald's army to kind of chase this, but DnS is not going to try and capitalize. For a moment, Gerald attacking his own Nexus. Recall. I don't think it just saved it. The huge blink forward. Oh, the splits from DnS, but he's still going to take huge losses.
Yeah, not too bad from Gerald. They're readjusting as well. I mean, something to be said about the splits from DnS. Well done, as well as he could in that situation, having already blinked. But Gerald also readjusting a lot of those disruptor shots. It's not easy to do when you fire like 2 or 3 at once.
No, it is not. Well done there, and this is why he's so comfortable with the 2-gate. Is he's so confident in that late game. He always feels comfortable going into it. Now, it doesn't mean he's always going to win, but he is confident in himself. I do have to mention, we still don't have DT Blink, and we still don't have another crucial upgrade for Gerald, which is the Observer Speed. Both of those are so handy in these late game situations. DnS is going to try and come in on top of this base. Gerald he's going to recall Tempests over to the left side. That's a little bit funky.
It is a little bit funky, as well as the disruptors too. So, I mean, there have been a couple of recalls this game from Gerald, where maybe that confidence in his ability to prolong the game and to play that macro game could bite him, because DnS has been looking to capitalize on those. This time around, unable to. His army was not in position to jump onto the remaining army of Gerald. But we have seen that before, right? Where Gerald does a little bit too overeager of a recall, and then DnS leaps on the opportunity to fight half the army and capitalizes to bring him back into a game that's very even still.
Yes, big blink forward coming in there, right, from DnS. Not able to get all the disruptors. All the disruptors for DnS are pretty much at this frontline position, and there's not a ton of stalkers to cover them. If DT Blink were available, he could have killed a couple disruptors. As it is, he is going to send Gerald, or send DnS running for the hills. Nice little split from Gerald at the end. This has been wild for quite some time, an absolute slugfest, trading back and forth. But something we have to note that is very important in this game is that DnS has not been able to secure a 6th base for a long time. Another attack coming into the natural, though. There are so many disruptors to zone out the army, and Gerald is so far out of position without recall available.
Yeah, DnS, I mean, DnS, they're even on bases, and DnS is taking the faster 7th, I guess, at this point. So, and Gerald, I mean, time and time again, he gets called back to defend, and DnS keeps claiming grounds where his disruptors can do work, but it hasn't always worked out for him. It's been Gerald that has been able to reclaim position, sometimes getting rid of these disruptors easily. And now with the Tempest, he's going to have an opportunity to poke down at those and force the blink forward perhaps from the stalkers. That's when his disruptors can become super efficient. DnS is somewhat trapped here. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening here. It's a very even game throughout this entire set of exchanges.
Yeah, DnS is actually now out mining his opponent. Nice disruptor shot right there, and he will be able to use it to cover his retreat. And DnS, he is now way up in workers. He is up 28 workers at this point. Gerald's army is a little bit higher quality, but DnS bought a lot of time right there to take advantage of that economic spot that he's kind of carved out for himself with the DT harass, with the just more aggressive plays in general. And DnS, he is actually going to go for a full-on base trade, and I actually do like this decision, yeah.
I love it, yeah, because he has the more mobile army and the better economy, like you were saying, right? So the base trade is definitely going to favor him. And yeah, I mean, it's absolutely the right call here. This is what he has been doing the entire time. So he's abusing the mobility or the lack of the Tempests of his opponent, and now this is looking pretty great. DnS is going to get rid of the Dark Trine as well, which could be pretty pesky off a building, especially come the base trade. And Gerald is going to send some units back there to fortify and try to kind of encroach with the rest of his army and sandwich this army of DnS. Oh, that's a big one. But yeah, I mean, Gerald needs a decisive engagement. So DnS now looking to evacuate and looking like he will find an avenue to do exactly that. And if he does, if this game continues to go this way, Gerald is going to bleed out.
That he is. He gets the disruptor shut off a little bit quicker, gets 3 of his opponent's disruptors. Gerald needs to win the game pretty much with this army. He's only on 28 probes. He is going to find 3 disruptors in the back, but a blink forward in on top of the Tempest. He will lose a ton of stalkers here. Does Gerald have enough left over to clean up the army? That is the question. He is up a decent amount of army supply, but can he carry this through to a victory? He needs to go right now.
Go, 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 go.
And Gerald's... This is exactly what you were talking about.
It's happened too many times this game.
Yeah, he had a time where he was up a significant amount of army quality or power or supply, and he just refuses to pull the trigger and go for the attack. And now DnS is going to get to rebuild, and he's going to catch up in that army supply in no time at all at this point.
Yeah, it's like he just keeps saying, I mean, let's just keep playing. Let's just, late game is my comfort zone. Maybe he's not aware of his position economically, but I think he should be, because he has 28 workers that can't feel good, and he has effectively half a mining base. So when you are in that position and you just beat your opponent's army, you have to think, if my economy is not better, things are not going to get better for me. Now is my time, like John Cena would say, and capitalize, but it's not going to be so this time around. He's going to sit back, and DnS is going to be allowed not just back into the game, but to surpass Gerald in quick fashion.
Yeah, and if DnS does have a little bit of oversaturation on a lot of his bases, if he just takes one more fresh base, he is going to find himself massively ahead. He's already significantly ahead in economy, but he's going to find himself really realizing that advantage so much more. 5 more probes do go down to this Blink DT hit squad. These Blink DTs have been money for DnS. They have been the MVPs of this game undoubtedly, and still no blink DTs, no observer speed for Gerald himself.
Oh, nice overcharge.
Yeah, that is actually a very nice overcharge. Keeps that pylon, and funnily enough, the shield battery from getting taken down. Recall will get used to save these DTs.
But look at the map. Yeah, here come the Stalkers, and this is the last mining base effectively for Gerald. So if DnS finds the opening here, if he can take this down, it will get nasty. Here come the rest of the Disruptors as well to zone up the army that might come from behind. There isn't that much of an army there. It's lagging behind. The shield batteries are helping here to hold. And again, Gerald with an opportunity to sandwich this army and maybe clear things out. But there's so many Disruptors, the Tempests are not going to be able to work nearly as fast. So it's this one Disruptor from Gerald that has to provide him a miracle. He is encroaching onto the army. This is possibly the final engagement. And whoever wins this could be in a position to snowball. So DnS technically trapped. But that doesn't mean that he can't win this fight.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where it almost becomes more complicated for Gerald because he has to control two armies on either side, and you got to make sure the two Disruptors land in the main army. Oh. And even there, he just puts his army back together because he says, I can't really deal with this. There's still harassment going on in the main base. 4 gateways in a robo just got depowered for Gerald. He's got so little left in the tank. Oh, it really is just this one army now for him.
Yeah, and it's getting worse and worse, right? Can we see the income tab really quick here, Niall? As I think that's tells the whole story.
God.
I mean, yeah, this is the problemo here. Is Gerald has just been taking punches to the face and being like, I'm strong. And it's like, yeah, you were strong for the first 10 punches, but the 11th one is, started knocking him down, and now he's in a precarious position where he has Tempest against the Disruptors. If none of these connect, he stands a chance. But if one gets a half-decent connection, it's going to be very difficult. And that's where I like the army split, actually, just so that he can come from multiple angles and make it a little bit more difficult for those Disruptor shots to land.
It will be more difficult for them to land, but he has once again taken position against Gerald. Battery overcharge. I mean, it's going to keep the cannons alive for a little while, I guess. But it doesn't save the Nexus. Not that there was any resources there anyways. Just a little bit of pocket change gas. But it's still just more and more position. The Tempests. Okay, no, he doesn't go for it. Oof.
It's dangerous for either player, right? Like for DnS, it's about closing out the game now. He knows that he has the advantageous position, so he doesn't want to risk it. Whereas Gerald, he has had opportunities to leap onto snowballing an advantage that he has had multiple times, but he has forfeited all of them. Now it's all up to these two Disruptors. Can they find a miracle?
Yeah, he did rebuild 2 more robos behind this, so he's got another couple Disruptors on the way. One of them is at home right now. Another 1 or 2 are going to pop out. Where are those other robos, actually? Okay, they're in the back of his natural. So that's where these Disruptors are going to be coming on out. This could turn into an actual huge flank on this army.
That could be huge, yeah. I mean, it's a big debate. I actually love those Disruptors and that they haven't been shown yet, but this Observer, very likely to spot them. It will now. And yeah, I mean, those Disruptors don't know that they have been seen, but they have. Gerald, once again, completely out of position with the rest of his army. He's going to recall some of it, I think, as I saw some blob disappear from the minimap. So yeah, a lot of the army will be waiting here.
Oh, this could be it. This could be the flank he was looking for.
Yeah, but I felt that multiple times. We'll see if this time around it is. Here comes the Disruptor shot's a miracle! Oh, it's a miracle, baby! And Gerald. 4 Disruptors
left. Is there enough in the tank for DnS to keep his army integrity together? He is going to blink forward on the back of Gerald's flanking army. Gerald's other army on the left side is going to try and catch up to this. You see the Disruptors retreating to the right. Nice zoning Disruptors from DnS. This game is wild, and it is getting wilder. Disruptors, they actually do connect on a couple of Gerald Stalkers. The 2 Disruptors of Gerald are going to join up, and the army supply is still even. Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely crazy. Still, even army supply is exactly what you want if you're Gerald, because the economy is not getting any better. So he keeps taking better engagements with less. But it is less, and you have to capitalize, and now is the time. Zealots are going to be extremely strong against this army. However, of mostly just Stalkers, the Disruptor shot does connect onto a couple of Stalkers. The Stalkers blinking away from the Zealots to target the Stalkers themselves. The Tempests are just soaking up damage. Beautiful connection, and it looks like Gerald might be doing it, at least in this fight. He is down in supply, however, he needs to win this fight and then find a snowball onto a base. But now the reinforcements, 5 Stalkers from DnS, which is effectively half of his army join, and make it so that Gerald once again has to disengage. And yeah, thank you for pointing out that base as well, Niall, because
it is the story of this game. It's like trades, but Gerald doesn't push on the gas pedal. He doesn't really go for it, doesn't try to close things out when he should know that he is at such a huge economic disadvantage the entire time.
Yeah, it's so sad that he gets the miracle engagement that he was looking for so long after this 30-minute slugfest. And it may not even matter because he just keeps getting run away from in terms of economy. Behind this, he double expands. He says, you know what? It is, in fact, an econ-based RTS. I will have to get in there and get some economy back online, but I feel like it's just too late at this point. He needs another miracle now.
Yeah, this guy has to subscribe to multiple religions at this point because he's made it happen multiple times too, right? Like again, making it work with less. Disruptor shot half a second away from connecting there, but instead it will go down. And the supply is, I think, deceitful in that Gerald doesn't really have a strong option to close out the game anymore. The army of DnS has grown to be big enough that you don't want to push into it anymore. DT.
The world's dumbest invisible man. He just, that was something else right there. Disruptor. Nope, not gonna get the flank shot that he's looking for. He needs to find his opponent's disruptors. Is the key. And this might be it.
Only one. That could have been three. Yeah.
Oh man, how many disruptors have gone down at this point in the game?
Oh my god.
52 disruptors for DnS to 35 for Gerald.
That's 87 disruptors to answer your question. I guess that's crazy.
Has there ever... This game is on the verge of becoming a trivia question. What game ended with 100 disruptors killed in total between the two players?
Yeah, I mean, it takes two to tango. This disruptor shot does not connect towards the end, and that is, I mean, a lot of the chances of Gerald in this game, at least to find his third or fourth miracle. It's not looking likely anymore. And DnS now marching into his base to maybe threaten the production here.
For the 15th time in this game, DnS looking to end it here, and Gerald not gonna let him. He just won't let him. But the shutdown on this outside base, even though there's only a little bit of mining, I mean, Gerald, he is just legitimately running out of money. It's not even like, you know, he's in a bad economic spot. It's that he's completely broke as a joke. Another disruptor goes down. More disruptors coming on out from DnS to, I mean, they're looking for the army in case of a chase. Oh, nope, not enough range on that disruptor. One base falls, and DnS is just going to find the other one. No static defenses here. Once again, Gerald getting sent back into the Stone Age. Oh, and a blink forward will find the disruptor. He's going to find the rest of this army. And it looks like that might finally be the end of it. 33, almost 34 minutes.
Yeah, a slow death from Gerald that had glimmers of hope in between, right? Like a lot of the time it looks dire, not as dire as it looks now, but nearly as, and then he pulls off a miracle with those couple of disruptor shots. Time and time again, this game has been reset by the prowess of Gerald to take excellent engagements. Like I can see at least why he thinks, okay, let's just wait for the next engagement, because his engagements have been excellent, right? Like,
yeah,
time and time again, he's made it work with less. But at some point, you just have to keep or stop practicing your micro and your perfect engagements and be like, okay, well, I am at a disadvantage. Even if I can't win, it is my best shot right now to fight at a slight disadvantage to snowball out of this situation versus elongating a game that will not go in my favor as it progresses, right? Like, and that's what we've seen time and time again, unfortunately.
Yeah, and he will get another nice bait there at the end, but it's not going to be anywhere close to enough. GG gets called in what is definitely going to be the game of the day.
Yeah, fantastic game. And yeah, DnS talking to himself a little bit, raising his eyebrows, and yeah, now doing all of the things that you would do after an exhausting game, readjusting your glasses, etc. So great job from him to capitalize. I think that DnS played a very good game to come back. Let's not forget that he was in a very disadvantageous position at some points. And great job from Gerald taking some incredible fights to stay in the game time and time again. But yeah, unable to pull it back all the way or to really give us a moment that felt like this is it, he can do it, right? It was more like he's alive. Oh my God, he's alive again. oh my God, like he reset things, but it's like, go, like he didn't go, you know?
Yeah. And you can't hesitate. Like when your opponent gives you that little opening, that is what you're playing for. That is why you stay in the game, is that they've given you that little opening and you have a chance. You have to take it. You have to run with it. Even to go back to that win percentage analogy, even if it goes from, you know, a 10% win chance to a 35% win probability, that's still more. That's 3.5 times more than what it was. You have to go for it. You have to have that killer instinct. And we just did not see that from Gerald. And I think that might end up being the story of this series if he ends up losing.
It may very well be the case, but we'll see. I mean, we have another map, potentially 2 here coming up. And yeah, I think that game was pretty much what we expected between these 2 players. And I think that this map on Data C is probably going to be another one of those slugfests, macro games, and a masterclass, quite honestly, from both players as far as like how to play the later stages of this match. So yeah, let's all learn from them as we jump into the game. And in the top right hand side, it is for Psystorm Gaming, Gerald.
And his opponent, spawning down on the bottom left, it's DnS. I believe the final kill count was like 91 or 93 disruptors killed at the end. That is... I wonder if there's ever been a game at anything close to a high level that's had that many disruptors killed.
Yeah, I wonder too. I can't recall off the top of my head. I mean, we've seen some crazy games, but that was a lot of disruptors. And yeah, glad we were mentioning disruptors before the match, because we certainly saw a lot of those, and a lot of those. I thought that 1 or 2 of those might determine the outcome of this game, but with Gerald as hesitant to pull the trigger as he was, and DnS playing catch up for most of it, it just kept going on, the disruptor wars. So we'll see if we're in for another one of those games, as this time around DnS is going to take the low ground gateway expand approach.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not Moondance. It's a map that is much more better suited to a low ground expansion, so it makes sense.
Yeah,
Gerald, he's got a very much cookie cutter solution to this. He's got one response to this. He's going to build a pylon. He's going to cancel it. And then he's going to do that at least 2 more times. And then he's going to take his own expansion after a couple of stalkers. And yeah, he has his own way of dealing with this. He wants to really boil it down to one particular thing he's going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see his strengths in that one approach, right? Like his engagements were flawless, were very strong. And time and time again, he found good disruptor shots. So you can see why and how he has honed those skills in the first place, right? Because it's what he does. And when you do something 1,000 times, you're going to get really good at it. And here's the pylon block that you're talking about. It is what Gerald does. He goes double gate and then blocks his opponent's expansions multiple times with the pylon cancels, as opposed to other players who prefer letting the pylon finish and then dropping a cybercore or something of the likes. He does this 2 or 3 times. And I mean, that is just the thing, though. If you know that, and I know that, then DnS knows that. And you know, when you're playing at the highest level of play, I won't get tired of saying you have to be able to mix it up. Because StarCraft can't and isn't a one-dimensional game enough that you can just do the same thing and expect for your opponent not to abuse it, right? If you are doing the same thing over and over again, it should have weaknesses, or that is what every player would do every single time. And that is not the case.
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't be a strategy game if there was only one viable strategy to play. That would just make it a pure mechanics game. And I know that mechanics are obviously a huge aspect, and probably at the highest level, one of the most important things, or well, at least up to the highest level, it's one of the most important things. But the strategy is massively important. And that's why Cyril, after his like 2018, 2019 dominance, that's why he stopped going for the same thing every game. He started mixing it up a lot more.
And that was so admirable to me because to be the best player in the world, right, to win and then think I gotta reinvent myself if I wanna stay in that position, is exactly what he did. And he has shown that is the way to go about it. And we've seen other players following his footsteps, right? Like we've seen, Raynor has always been a player that mixes it up. We've seen even Hero Marine mixing it up considerably more than he did like a couple of years ago, right? And in Korea, I mean, every top player has deep strat book. So yeah, I think that is what it takes when it comes to the highest level of play. It is to mix it up, to play the strategic portion and not just the mechanical portion. But I mean, as far as mechanics are concerned, as far as like the soundness of the one strategy that we see from Gerald time and time again, and his willingness to go into mid and late game where he is clearly an excellent player, it is, you know, good enough to certainly beat any of us every time, and to make it here, but maybe not enough to break on through to the next level.
Yeah, exactly. We are going to see this double Oracle coming on in. The shield battery is nice against single Oracle. Not going to be enough against both. He misses the recall in the second Oracle. Oh, boy, that's... Well, actually, hang on. Is that even... I actually don't know if the Phoenix can run him down if DnS just goes back home. It takes 16 shots to kill an Oracle, and it's... Actually, no, he's going to get home fine. Yeah, he's... Okay, so yeah, he can't even punish that. That's... kind of silly.
Yeah, he could have punished the recall, however, because this Phoenix did attack the high HP Oracle a couple of times. So if he had been able to readjust a little bit quicker, not an easy thing to do, that first Oracle would have fallen, because it was one or two shots away. I think one. So.
Oh man, taking a fair bit of hull damage right there. Gerald's trying to get in with a single Oracle versus the double Oracle. Yeah, that's a good point. It comes down to that little micro misstep. And it can be very unpleasant. As we get into this game, there's been a couple of interesting decisions throughout. You know, obviously going for that double Oracle, getting some nice moves from DnS, kind of abusing the fact that Gerald gets that blind shield battery. Now both players going for the Phoenix, and it will go into standard Blink Stalker, but so far, not a huge advantage for either player. I think I like DnS's setup a little bit more, but not massively, and that's a nice find right there for Gerald.
Yeah, he's going to turn away now as the Phoenix of DnS is going to arrive at the fight. And now DnS is out on the map. He knows he has map control for the time being, so he's going to exercise his right to move about and see what his opponent is up to.
Actually, yeah, we've got... I didn't realize this. There's 4 gates on the map for DnS, so he was able to pump out quite a few Stalkers. He does have a few more Stalkers than his opponent, and unlike Gerald, he is not afraid to really pull the trigger when he feels he has an opportunity. He's going to go for it.
Yeah, and he's going to... Oh, he actually misses the shot onto the Phoenix, instead fires at the Stargate once, so that Phoenix is going to be just fine for the time being. Now, blinking on forward to try to take down perhaps a shield battery overcharge, I would have thought, but instead, really kind of diverting his attention all over the place. The Oracle does end up falling. 3 probes have fallen, but this was not as successful as I was expecting it to be from DnS.
No, it was not in the slightest. And I think it actually all started with the Phoenix, the target fire on the Phoenix being missed. The battery overcharge then kept it alive against the second volley. It stayed alive forever. It won the fight against DnS's Phoenix with the addition of that battery overcharge. And then behind that, it was able to get a lift up on one of DnS's Stalkers. So that Phoenix not getting target fired initially correctly actually led to like a 3 Stalker swing in terms of viability, I think.
Yeah, most definitely. So, yeah, I mean, that's a lot of DPS to miss out on, right? From an entire volley out of that many Stalkers when your opponent is off position, and they will reposition eventually. So yeah, absolutely with you there. Could have been used in other targets, right? Like the shield battery overcharge could have gone down to a volley or a volley and a half of those. And then maybe you have a little bit more room to kill more Stalkers or probes even. Yes, by auto-attacking there. So, yet still, DnS in a pretty good position, 61 workers to 61. And he has a slight supply lead mostly in the army allocation. But Gerald much faster to disruptors.
Yeah, and he's going there again. DnS is going to take a very quick 4th Nexus behind us. He's also getting a War Prism. He's staying on 3 gases, getting charge and the +1 weapons. DnS is a little bit later than his opponent for that +1. Oh, nice job from Gerald. Does find the Oracle. That's pretty big. That means no revelation. That's that Phoenix ends up eventually paying for itself. Actually, no, at this point, it's more than paid for itself. It's killed 2 Oracles and a Phoenix of its own, and it's soaked like 300, 400 damage in that main base. Yeah, this is This is
Gonna
a
give him
funky
some peace of
game.
mind as well, right? Against any sort of warpers and plays that come out of that side of the map.
Yeah.
So yeah, that Phoenix very useful so far. DnS has to be really careful to attack into disruptors here.
I don't think he even knows about the disruptors just yet. I think he's going to try and force the issue, and he might just end up getting absolutely caught out by this. Disruptors are a little bit too far back to punish the aggressive Blink forward. Oh, Blink just came off cooldown right there, just in the nick of time. DnS, though, is going to be forced to blink back, and that means his blink is on cooldown again, but Gerald just not quite far enough forward with those disruptors. Blink forward into the disruptor shot, does eat a big hit, but will... Actually, yeah, no, that's just too big of an overcommitment. I think Gerald is going to be able to crush this army, and now, please, go kill him, for the love of God.
He's been watching too much 2000 and 2010 Artosis, right?
Oh
like
my
he's
God.
just gonna get more ahead here.
Yeah, no, he's actually just going to stay home. Okay, is he?
No.
Please attack, Gerald, please.
All right, well, he's gonna stay back for the time being. I mean, he does have a fourth to defend. I'm not sure. Let's look at his vision really quick. So he does know that his opponent is also on 4 base. So it's not like it's a position where you think, I have my fourth, he doesn't have his fourth, so let's just sit back and wait and you know, it'll be fine. It's more of a position where, wow, I just got a huge army lead, so I should probably just kill you right now. But instead, he's going to give his opponent a little bit of an avenue back into the game potentially. That said, DnS doesn't really have the same capabilities as far as tech is concerned, right? So Gerald still has a very strong hold on this game. But yeah, I am completely with you. He could have done more there, I think.
At the very least, knock out that fourth base. I understand he didn't have a ton of gateway production. He didn't have a war prism, but you can build those units like you are allowed to do that. Like it's acceptable. It's okay. We are going to see a kind of just a bumbling into each other's army when they both kind of force to disengage. There it is, just like you called.
Yeah, so the War Prism's still gonna get in, however, but he at least gets a little bit of a heads up. There's a little bit of a warping here of Stalkers. Zealots are gonna be extremely annoying, however, and on the other side, DnS is actually applying more pressure onto this disruptor shots, who will get pretty good connections yet again. Now that the shield battery overcharge gets popped, and this Immortal's doing a great deal of work, now additional Stalkers will blink on forward, and another one for Gerald here. And I mean, he has another massive lead on the back of perhaps an overextension from DnS. I don't mind what DnS is trying to do here because he knows he's working with the lesser tech. He wants to close that gap however he can and look for openings, and he did manage to find those in the previous game. But yeah, I mean, that was a terrible trade once again for him.
Yeah, the resources lost is doubly in favor of Gerald at this point. He is so far ahead in this game. And, oh, that was cute. He just double lifted the Zealots so that they would cancel their movement commands away from the army. That was kind of nice right there.
He's moving out.
Oh, is it for real?
He's gonna blink on forward. Blink on forward. Nice. All right, this is my boy.
And he crosses the middle of the map. Let's go.
Let's go. He is gonna destroy his opponent here if he commits. Even if he goes for the outer base, I think that's the more responsible choice. And this is what we were looking for from the previous altercations, right? Like elongate that advantage. You have the army lead, and you have predominantly Stalkers as well. So in the worst case scenario, you lose a couple of Disruptors on the move out and you evacuate the rest of the units. In the best case scenario, you kill exactly what's going on here. You kill a base, now you're one base up, and the next altercation can you know, like truly get you in a position that is a winning one. So now it's up to these Disruptors from DnS to try to equalize.
Yeah, and there is something we haven't talked about on the production tab. It has been looming for a while because it takes forever to build. The Mothership. The Mothership is coming on in. It is actually going to be incredibly handy in this game. I would have actually, I think, preferred to see Gerald go straight up into carriers since he was on a solid 4-base setup on Data C. Nice little catch on a couple of those Stalkers on the top side from DnS. Gerald, though, he is going to secure his 5th base, and he says, those Blink DTs were a real problem for me. And he's actually going to get a significant amount of static defense in this game. I like the adjustment, but once again, I'd really love to see like 3 Stargate carrier transition if he's just not going to actually kill his opponent.
Yeah, he's once again out of position. Here's where you could force a base trade, but I think we understand enough of Gerald's patterns that most likely is a recall and a little bit of a flank here if he wants to attempt at a defense. We're not seeing any response so far. The army is just kind of sitting in the middle of the map, and this is just free damage for DnS for the time being, who has a good position with the disruptors. It's not going to be easy to break into from DnS. So an opportunity for DnS here. Not going to be easy to break into for Gerald.
Oh, the disruptor shot from Gerald comes in, gets a huge connection. Very chaotic with where the balls were being thrown, but it still ends up working out very well for Gerald. He did lose 20 probes right there, but he has 5 Nexus. He can rebuild them. Or, let me just posit this. Let me just make a suggestion. What if he went and killed him?
That, I mean, we're saying this so much that it makes me feel almost like the chat's gonna be like, why are these casters telling the player what to do?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I can feel it coming.
Yep. Oh,
but it's really, I'm absolutely with you. And finally, Gerald is on board as well. He is going to cross the map and deny one base. And the comment that I was gonna make is, you know, he is clearly so far ahead. If he somehow loses this game, I think it'll be apparent what happened, right? But yeah, I mean, he is going for it now. The DTs are doing the work, and I think he's gonna have this one on lockdown shortly.
Something else, once again, it's the same situation as the previous game. Well, in this case, actually, he also doesn't have his +3 weapons. He hasn't gotten either the Blink DT upgrade or the Observer Speed upgrade. He is going to blink forward and will depower these static defenses at the 4th base. And he's going to be able to pick this off. And you know what? At this point, he actually is okay to just back off, because attacking into defensive disruptors is never a comfy position. But he has gutted his opponent's economy to a position where he is now very far ahead in economy. That's the big thing, is like, I'm okay with him sitting back after getting some good trades, but like, you can't just let your opponent mass expand when you have the much stronger army.
Yeah, this is perfect. And now poking onto the other side with the DTs, I mean, this is a way to close out the game, right? But he is closing out the game right now. Like, he is being proactive. He is utilizing his advantage to actually gain himself a bigger advantage. He's not just sitting back with it, and that is what he needs to do. So I'm not, you know, we're not eager for him to close out the game because he's wasting time or anything of the sorts. We just want to see him realize the victory that he has carved for himself, and that's exactly what he's doing this time around. So you love to see it. Now, I mean, if we look at the income tab, we should have a very different story to what we saw in the last game, where he was the one being strangled, and that will reflect the state of the game. Thank you, Meow.
Yes, and notably, that's the first time it's taken that big leap into it. We are going to see DnS with a really nice position. Once again, he's made so many of these maneuvers where he has kind of trapped Gerald out of position. Huge disruptor shot right there. That was massive.
Yeah, he's going to need a few of those. But yeah, DnS often allowed the position, right? Like, often allowed... Like, I've been watching some Counter-Strike here and there, and it feels like Gerald's always on retake. But yeah, finally, DnS is going to GG out, and Gerald will take game number 2 to equalize the series. What a wonderful mustache. And yeah, his room always amazing as well. A library it is.
It is a lovely little library, and I'm glad to see that he was able to close it out. Obviously, he has his game, his style of play, and he's very good at it. Extremely successful. But I was just starting to get worried after how game 1 went and how game 2 was starting to shape up, that maybe we might have seen a repeat, and I just really couldn't handle that for my heart. So I'm glad that he is able to realize this victory, and we've got a nice little game number 3 heading our way.
Yeah, should be very exciting. So yeah, we're gonna jump into that just shortly. We don't do breaks in between. This is the first game to go to game 3, so I'm not. Is it? I think it is.
Uncharted territory, yeah.
Yeah, uncharted territory for the day, and yeah, I haven't been casting this season yet, so. But yeah, it looks like no break, right?
No, I don't think so. I think we're going to get right into game number 3. We do have Gerald just asking for a little moment here. And of course, this has been a pretty exhausting series. We had that like 35-minute game number 1. Game 2 going like 16, 17 minutes. It's understandable that they need a little bit of a breath, and that is okay. We're happy to give that to them. Now,
yeah, for sure. Sorry.
Oh, no worries, no worries. This is very interesting, though, that, like, Gerald, in both games, didn't get the DT Blink upgrade while going for not just 1 or 2 DTs. Like, he went for a minimum of, like, 10 DTs in each game. And especially the way he was using them in a couple of the games. Like, you really need them to be able to blink on top of the static defense, and without that, it makes cracking outer bases very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really curious why he hasn't been going for that DT blink.
Yeah, that is actually an interesting choice. I'm not quite sure. Maybe I actually don't know, right? Like, it's not like resources are any sort of an issue or a gate at that point in the game. It's very easy to just invest into it. It's yeah. I don't see a good reason for it. It's yeah, I don't know. If it was like a blink DT rush that we were talking about, there would be an argument to make like, well, it's too expensive or something of the sorts. But yeah, I mean, when you're going to the super late game and using DTs proactively, there's little reason not to get the DT blink, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to see if we have another game similar to this one. In the bottom left for Psystorm Gaming, it is Gerald.
And in the top right-hand side, it is DnS.
Now, I know there's no chance of this, but I would just love it so much if one of them was just like, screw it. And they just went for like proxy 3-gate or something and just said, I'm done with this series. Obviously, that would never happen in a situation like this, between these two players at least.
Yeah.
Because they're very confident in their play. We've gone over it a million times. We've seen how strong they are in the late game. Both making great plays. They're not going to do that, but I just think that would be so funny if they just said caution to the wind.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah. I mean, we've said this. There's not a ton to really talk about in the sense that, you know, the early game is gonna pretty much look almost exactly the same here. Gerald's always gonna go for the 2 gates. Oh, you know, and probably open double stalker behind it, maybe double adept, maybe Stargate. That's where it starts deviating a little bit. And both players are going to be comfortable going into the mid game, getting those disruptors out. And yeah, DnS a little bit more on the side of perhaps being proactive and mobile, whereas Gerald is usually the one that's looking to absorb and take good engagements, right? And that's just kind of their style, and that's just kind of like what they have honed, and that is just kind of what they do. So, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're good at it. They're great at it.
They're fantastic at it. They're some of the best at it, and that's why they're here. And that's why we're just talking about it, because we are not as good at it. You're better at it than I am by a lot, but these guys are world class at it. They are very strong, and hopefully we'll get to see more of some flexibility from Gerald in the future. I think it's pretty clear that we're not going to see that, you know, in this series right here.
Yeah,
but
perhaps not even this season, right? Like, it's
exactly.
so difficult to change those habits that have gotten you this far as well, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not like you can just be like, oh, yeah, let me just copy hero. No, if that's not your approach, if iteration is how you've gotten here, repetition, right? If doing things over and over and really honing those skills and that mastery of the units and the control and the timings and the order of things, it's not like you can just, you know, throw all caution to the wind and do something completely different next series and catch your opponent off guard, because I see comments like that sometimes, right? And I used to be a little bit of a cheesy player, for example, and you know, that my forte was weird games, and it's like, oh, what if he just plays standard? And it's like, yeah, I mean, I can do it, but I wouldn't be of the same caliber, because that's not what I usually do, right? So probably not a good idea. Gerald, though,
yeah, he's getting so much done with these first 2 stalkers. This is actually crazy damage right now. This is actually ridiculous at this point. Like, oh, if he gets that stalker, not quite enough damage, but he will get it. Shield battery is still not done at that. Oh, I like this. He splits the stalker, said the Oracle's going to run out of energy, and he can keep putting the pressure on. Warp Gate is not done. If there was a 4th stalker built, if there was a 4th stalker built from Gerald, I think this game would actually be over. As it stands right now, I really don't think he needs to back off at the moment.
There's no unit from the gateway.
Yeah, he can cancel the Warp in. Warp Gate will complete, but the Warp Gate itself, is it going to finish transforming? I don't think so. We need to see it. We need to see it.
Yeah.
Okay, it finishes, but he doesn't get a Warp in. Oracle on the other side of the map,
I mean, this
it gets deflected. Yeah, Gerald is doing so much damage right now.
Yeah, when you make 2 Stalkers to open every game, you know exactly the capabilities of them. And here's the next warp in, but Gerald's gonna be ready for that one. And there's nothing to shield it, really. It's just giveaways from DnS, who also spawns an Oracle on top of 3 Stalkers. Not what you want. The shield battery is gonna finish only to be gunned down. Then the second Oracle is gonna come back to try and help. And help it will, but it will run out of energy as well. So that's just 1 Oracle for the defense. The next warping has to be awaited for. And there's the Stalker. It's now the Pylons under threat. Double warping of Stalkers, that maybe should be enough with the Oracle's help. So Gerald will disengage, but what a successful poke. He's not done.
Incredibly successful poke. Yeah, and I don't think he should stop at the moment. There is a Twilight Council behind this, already done for DnS. He starts up a Dark Shrine. Gerald, he's got his own Blink Stalker upgrade, more than halfway done now. Battery overcharge gets forced out, and I actually don't even think he needs to target down the battery. I think he could have just backed away, but he is going to go for it once again. These Oracles are going to get deflected. Gerald will get temporarily pushed back, but he's denying a lot of mining time. Probes are going to fall on the other side of the map, but it's still 2 for 2. This is still looking so good for Gerald. He has really dialed it in game number 3.
Beautiful, beautiful job. I mean, he knows what advantage he has, and he's looking to snowball it in this early game. That is what we've been asking for, and
yeah,
he has done a beautiful job of it so far. I kind of agree with you on the battery. It's a very tough call to make, right? Because it's like, yeah, like I can see the perspective where the battery is low enough on energy that after it's done with the overcharge, it's not going to heal that much more. So it's just an issue of how much damage or hull damage are you going to take on a Stalker, or even lose one to trade for the battery. He didn't end up losing any Stalkers. I think he took some hull damage. So I think it ended up being fine to target the battery, but in that situation, I think I would have done the same as you, just disengage.
But Gerald, I mean, he knows better, exactly. And he was able to get the value still. An amazing opening for Gerald. And after asking for him to switch it up, he does exactly that. It's the same thing, but he makes some big decision-making differences. Ooh, Observer is going to pop out. He doesn't actually see the DT, though. Observer, okay, now he sees it, and he will start losing a couple probes, but he is going to pull very quickly away from the main base. He could have gotten away with taking no damage whatsoever. Unfortunately, he does lose those 4 probes, but it could have been a lot worse as well.
Yeah, for sure. Only 2 workers the difference here, and with the probe transfer, I mean, a game that was looking like Gerald might be able to end it has somewhat stabilized. So that's the good news for DnS. His third is considerably later, however, so that is the big advantage that Gerald has right now. And yeah, I mean, DnS, I don't know that he found enough damage with those DTs. Will this one go down? Barely.
Yeah, I don't think he did. It was a really nice move, and I think it was absolutely a great call. And the fact that he had the presence of mind during all that pressure to still build that is pretty big. But now the Oracle goes down, and that is actually going to open things up for Gerald to put some heavy pressure on his opponent's third base.
Yeah, that is a very good point. I mean, it's so difficult to think of. Yeah, let me make DTs while I'm dying.
Yeah, right.
Well, then, yeah, survive and give yourself a shot. But also good on Gerald to be accounting for that. DnS really pulling all the stops here. Gerald's gonna see what DnS has exactly here. He has more Stalkers, can blink on forward. I love to see that. I thought he wasn't going to, because he's been a little bit shy on those, but this time around looking to capitalize, looking to be a lot more proactive. Oh, misses a little bit of a shot there. Will end up killing that Stalker, but will cost him a couple of his own. So a good time to disengage, but I think trades are good overall for Gerald right now. DnS not dropping the ball behind that. Get some damage done with the Oracle, and Gerald looking to do the same with 2 Adepts. Really active mid-game here.
Yeah, the presence of mind to go for Adepts here is incredibly nice for Gerald. I love that he is willing to go for this right here. He is going to be able to find only 3 probes. Unfortunately, DnS was able to warp into DT. If Gerald had actually gone to the natural, where he could have gotten a ton of work done, he probably gets like 7 or 8 probes, unless DnS is much more proactive about pulling his probes away. I think at the very least he gets a few more. Regardless, still nice that he is keeping the pressure on so much. I do like that DnS, though, is going for these stasis wards. Ooh, blink forward. Can he get the kill? Oh, just barely gets it from downtown Steph Curry.
Hells yeah. Steph Curry. Who's Steph Curry's best friend?
Who's Steph Curry's best friend?
On the field, of course. Like his sister.
Oh.
Because I know, like, I know so little about basketball, but I know, like, there was, like there's, like, different, like, there's, like, duos, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know his brother is Seth Curry. That's the only thing I know. Nice little warp in right there from Gerald. Locks the DT in.
Very beautiful.
That's cute. Yeah, that's really nice. We don't have Gerald going for +2 weapons just yet. I'd like to see him go for that. Yeah, no, I'm not sure who would be his like, yeah, his duo partner, his guy who sets up all the points for him.
Yeah, because I remember Karl Malone like 20 years ago had someone, or was it? Yeah, I don't know why I'm talking about basketball right now. I feel like I got baited into this pretty hard because I know like 5 names, and yeah, I'm sure 2 or 3 of those are connected.
I feel like Pippen and Jordan would probably be like
Pippen, yeah.
That would be the
here we go.
Ones. Ooh, nice job. He will get this 4th base, but he might be overstaying. His blink is on cooldown. There's a lot of stalkers for DnS. The punish will be pretty big.
Yeah, he should have actually. He should have blinked. He should have gotten 2 stalkers on the back there, at least 1.
Oh wow.
Shaved off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought for sure that was going to be a pretty big punish coming on in there. We do see a DT warping in to try and go after the 4th base of Gerald. Gerald does have a cannon there, so he will be prepared. That slow warp in pylon obviously takes forever. DT warping in the main base from Gerald. He's going for 6 DT.
Nasty.
That is
you love to see
nasty.
that, yeah. Especially as he is applying pressure here. I love the Zealots as well. They're hard to micro against. You're going to have to just disengage and kite, but that gives Gerald the space to actually kill that base while the DTs are doing insane amounts of damage in the main. They're going to go after all of the pylons, disabling the production.
Artosis! Not like this. 5 gateways getting depowered. And the recall into the main base with that observer. He's going to decloak the DTs, but he might still lose the main nexus.
GG.
And with it, Gerald